I'm so brain dead. All right, so I was just talking without the microphone on. I'm so sorry. uh, wow, I'm already messing up big time right now. I can't believe that just happened. But yeah, freaking. So welcome back to another stream. I'm sorry that I just took my camera away for a second. That was kind of messed up. Already fumbling the stream, guys. And welcome back to another stream. I'm glad to see everybody's all right, doing okay. We're gonna be talking about more controversies today, just because I feel like this is a very interesting topic to talk about a bunch of the controversies that happened over the years for My Hero Academia, and I'm hoping that some of you might agree with some of the stuff that I say, just because I do feel like the topics are kind of insane and crazy and they reach a lot. so we'll see how that goes. But first, before we get into the big discussion of the stream, I do want to talk about some little news that's been going on lately, especially My Hero Academia related, which I think it's pretty cool. We're going to be getting the closed beta soon for the My Hero Academia Ultra Rumble, and I'm not sure when those codes are dropping. I signed up for it. They have this going on right now. This is about to be like a huge thing. For me, at least, it's going to be huge because, hey, I'm very interested in this. I know you guys have seen me talk about this before. It's going to be pretty fun, I believe. Now, as you can see from the tags up here, that we're going to be talking about some crazy stuff right now because it's going to get crazy. Also, I think Goku in Dragon Ball has dropped in Fortnite, so that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be I'm possibly gonna be playing that later, but yeah, let's get into this. I know I've kind of like stumbled after the whole beginning of this live stream kind of failed. Uh, I'm gonna be my brain is just everywhere right now. So sorry about that. I'm very sorry. You're still goaded. Thank you. You're goaded too, sir. But yeah, let's get into this. So I wanted to talk about these controversies again because I didn't go through all of them the last time. And the last time we went through at least three different controversies, and I don't know if I'm gonna even get past one controversy right now because I'm gonna talk about the biggest controversy that probably has ever happened in the series. Like this is probably one of the biggest controversies that's ever happened because My Hero Academia literally got banned from a whole country, like a continent or whatever you want to call it, right? It got banned. It got violated by China because of this humongous controversy, or what I like to call it a non-controversy, because a lot of people got offended over a character's name. Uh, Over a character's name. I was gonna say that there was more to it than just that, but that's really all it was, right? It was a character's name, and this specific character was Dr. Ujiko. As we know, that is the doctor that is with All For One all the time. Like, he's the one that helps All For One create or do these crazy projects. He helped created the Nomu, or he was the mind behind the Nomu, and he basically is All For One's right hand man, right? This is the guy that we've seen with All For One throughout the entirety of the series. This is a guy that we know is a bad guy through and through. There is no good bone in this man's body, right? He used kids and basically used them to create Nomus, right? This is a guy who is a terrible person through and through. Probably worth just as bad, if not worse, than All For One, right? This is a guy we know is a completely terrible person, and a lot of people freaked out when his name got revealed back during the war arc, which is this is going to be something that's going to be covered in the season 6 of My Hero Academia that's going to be coming out in October, right? And of course, what we're going to expect from season 6 is they're not going to actually use the original name that came out, uh, unless they want to spark another controversy. But they're going to go with the new name that they gave him, which was I believe like something Shiga, right? Or no, Garaki. Kyudai Garaki. I think that's what his new name is, right? But his original name, and the name that a lot of people were freaking out was over, I believe was like like the name was Maruta Shiga, or Shiga Maruta, right? And a lot of people freaked out because that had a lot to do with what happened, or it had like a resemblance to what happened back in World War II with Japan, and of course Germany and stuff like that, and of course the China. And it was insane how people kind of reached for it, and they dropped My Hero Academia. China, as soon as this chapter came out, and this became like a big headline news, that a character's name had something to do with how Japanese people back in World War II were doing some very awful things to the Chinese. And because, obviously, if you guys know your history, I believe at one point Japan was aligned with Germany, or something like that, right? Now, I'm not an expert with World War II, but a lot of people were kind of like very upset with this, because back then the Japanese were like communists and stuff like that. So it's very like, I can't really discuss a lot of things without saying something wrong, because I don't want to say something wrong and get somebody upset about it, because I don't want to like spread misinformation. Of course, like I said, I don't know much about what specifically happened back then, but I know what a lot of people were upset by was they were doing some really messed up experiments, and just like it was messed up, the concentration camps and stuff like that. And the fact that this character had shared a name that was used to sort of discriminate and make fun of these people that were being wrongfully treated in those camps, and were being tested on, right? They were looked at as disgusting, like disgusting people, like not even on the same level as a person. And a lot of people were upset that this character, that Dr. Ujiko, had shared had shared that name, which was Maruta. And it was insane. So after this, a lot of people were up in arms. A lot of people were super upset with Horikoshi and this name, and how it resembled all these terrible things that were done back in World War II. And what happened is Horikoshi received a lot of death threats. And you literally had to have been there when this was going on, because it was insane of what was happening, right? Horikoshi was getting death threats. China effectively dropped My Hero Academia. It banned My Hero Academia for good over there when this thing was going on. I believe the ban is lifted now, and a lot of things were going on back then. Like, there was a My Hero Academia game that called the Strongest Hero that eventually did come out because the ban was lifted, right? But back then that game ceased development because of what was going on. They didn't want to be associated with it, or just since the fact that the game was being made in China, and My Hero Academia got banned from over there. They could no longer work on that. So it was insane, right? Horikoshi was getting death threats. A lot of projects were getting canceled, and the fans, not only were they sending death threats, but they were throwing a lot of My Hero Academia merchandise away. And there were two types of hashtags, or you could say two different parties in this controversy. That one side agreed with Horikoshi, or not agreed with Horikoshi, but were on the side of Horikoshi using this character as a name, or this name for this character. And there was the side that wanted Horikoshi to apologize and to change the name of this character going forward. And the hashtags was hashtag I support Horikoshi, and the other one was hashtag apologize Horikoshi. These were two of the biggest hashtags at the time for what was going on at the time. And what the two arguments were, right? Like the way I just explained it, uh, we know what a lot of people were up in arms about. We know what they were raging about. So that's what the apologize Horikoshi hashtag was about. But for the I support Horikoshi, their argument for this was, this is just a character. It's fiction. There are a lot of characters in fiction that's not in My Hero Academia that sort of relate, or not even relate. The mangaka or their authors take real world events and groups that could be hate groups and mash them into characters or groups in their own fiction, right? So for example, I think this is possibly the biggest example I could give for fiction relating to reality, and that is Star Wars, the Empire, right? The Empire was effectively based off of Germany back in World War II. Now, I would say the other word, Yahtzee, but I don't want to, because YouTube, it can be a little bit iffy when it comes to stuff like that. And I don't want, the video to get murked because of it. Well, not the video, but the stream to get murked because of it. Because all I said was one simple word that, what historically speaking was used and isn't necessarily that bad. Not the group, but like the word itself, right? Like it shouldn't be controversial. This is our history, right? This is history that happened. And it's not like nobody's in support of that right now, right? And nobody is agreeing with what they've done. So, but I know, YouTube can be a little bit weird about it. I almost fumbled the bag right there. Hey kid, how are you doing? I'm doing great, Travis. Thanks for asking. But like I was saying, the party that was in support of Horikoshi, they brought up these different examples of reality relating to fiction, or fiction just relating to reality, the inspirations for certain fictional groups or fictional characters. And it was a shit show, right, between these two different parties, the hashtag apologize Horikoshi group and the hashtag I support Horikoshi. Now, I for one was on the party of I support Horikoshi, because to me, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. How could a name of a character who we know is a villainous scumbag, who has done, or has done things that this group that a lot of people are up in arms about have, that they've done sort of similar things, right? Experimentation and stuff like that. And this guy, there's no saving him. He's a terrible person. He's a terrible character, like as in he's a bad guy. And there's nothing that makes him good, right? There's no good in this guy. So I didn't understand how, at the time, how could people get upset by this when we know that's not a good part of history, and an evil character who we know is evil, who has done these terrible things similar to this group, is named after it, right? Or has a name that relates to it. And so to me, I was on the side of Horikoshi, and I supported his decision for naming this character, because like the various examples of fiction relating to reality, we have tons of characters in fiction, in different various fictions, that relate to real world things, and even groups as well. And I remember seeing a hilarious post, like a little meme about it that was going on, that said, a My Hero Academia character sharing some similarities to something terrible that happened back in World War II. And then it said JoJo fans having a literal German World War II person who was a Yahtzee, right? And they were okay with it. They didn't care, right? It blew my mind how, like, back then, a lot of people were really upset about this. Now, I know I'm kind of like saying that a lot because it's still just mind-boggling to this day. But it even went down an even crazier rabbit hole at the time. And what I mean by this is that not only did this controversy off of this name uh, have this grand ripple effect on what was going on, or like for My Hero Academia and how the world was looking at it, but it even sparked a new controversy within the controversy, right? So, and this honestly was like the worst sort of things that I've seen, where people were reaching to the gods. I've never seen people reach so hard before until this happened. So basically, what happened is that due to this controversy, a lot of people ended up looking deeper into My Hero Academia, and it became My Fascist Academia, right? When the controversy went live, or not went live, like if it's some stupid live stream, but when the controversy happened, people started calling My Hero Academia My Fascist Academia. And when they started looking more into the characters and stuff like that, they looked into the characters' birthdays, and oh my god, I've never been like so upset at controversy before for how dumb it was, right? Because this was probably some of the dumbest reasons on why people were upset. So I'm going to pull up a flick right now on the screen of what I'm talking about. And right here, you see that a lot of people were looking at the birth dates of each characters and relating them to actual people who were born on those days. So for Bakugo, and it was Hitler, right? Hitler, they have the same birthdays. Are you serious? Deku, I think, was related to some communist party for Japan, and Endeavor was another communist commander, Japanese commander, and I believe Shigaraki, which I, instead of like just saying what I believe, right there, it's right here in the CBR article, or this my fault comic book article. Bakugo's birthday, April 20th, Hitler. Deku's birthday, July 15th, the established date of the Japanese Communist Party. Endeavor's birthday, August 8th, which I believe this is supposed to be the same birthday as the Imperial Japanese officer Kenji Doihara. And Shigaraki, his birthday, April 4th, which I also believe is supposed to be the same birthday as this World War II Japanese naval commander-in-chief, Isoroku Yamamoto, right? This is what was the rage back then. And it's honestly kind of ridiculous, right? How people went and reached this far to make My Hero Academia seem it was the most fascist thing in the world. And I do believe this came primarily from other fandoms trying to destroy My Hero Academia, because we do know, like, you know, that Black Clover hates My Hero, right? It's kind of like a ongoing war between the two. You know, they hate each other for some reason. I don't get it. Obviously, JJK, you know, I can't even just specifically name each fandom, because almost every fandom hates My Hero Academia fandom. And it makes sense, right? Because let's be honest, the My Hero fandom can be can be pretty cringe at times. But, you know, obviously there was different parties from different fandoms coming in trying to destroy this, trying to make the series look bad. And of course there were previous fans of the series, which a lot of people did drop the series when this happened, but they started looking into all of these birth dates, started reaching super hard of on you know, on trying to relate these characters to these awful people in history, or these awful organizations and just awful events in history, and trying to say, oh, My Hero Academia is now My Fascist Academia. And that was such a ridiculous reach back then, but this was insane, because even more so, right, there's videos, and I'm going to pop up a video There's I don't know if there's audio. I don't have the audio on for the desktop, but basically you have somebody throwing out My Hero Academia volumes and stuff like that because they were done with the series, right? This was a lot of people were doing stuff like this, burning their stuff and just throwing it away due to this controversy that was going on back then. And it honestly was insane. I'm not saying like the people were crazy. I do believe people have a right to feel whatever they want to feel, but it was just to me, I thought it was very very reaching. Oh, and I just found a picture of the whole Maruta thing where somebody was making the connections to what was going on back then, and now I could give you guys more accurate information on what was happening, because I know I was kind of jumbling around everywhere, but it was like Maruta are the victims of Japanese biochemical experiments. I'm sorry, I have to like look over my stand that I have for my webcam, and it's basically the experiments that were done during World War II. Yeah, I didn't even need to like do all that looking around type stuff. But see, this is stuff that was happening. Now I'm going to take this off of the screen because I don't want to get flagged down or anything like that. But that was history, guys, and those pictures were kind of like blurry in a sense anyways. But it was that's something that happened in our history, in the world history, and that's what a lot of people were getting upset about at the time on what was going on. And like I showed you, it was crazy. A lot of people were burning their stuff, a lot of people were throwing away things, a lot of people were dropping My Hero Academia, as well as sending Horikoshi death threats. Now I believe sending death threats to any creator, or no matter what they've done, well, actually, I don't know. I'm sort of half and half sometimes, because I think if they're a really heinous person, maybe like, I don't know. I don't condone doing it, because I would never say anything like that to somebody. But I can understand why some people would say things. There's a difference between understanding and outright doing it, right? I understand why some people would do it, but to me, I don't think people should do it. So that, I know I be messing up my words sometimes, and I can't speak. We all know I can't talk, right? I'm dumb. But people were sending him death threats, and it was insane what a lot of people were saying to Horikoshi. There was one, and this is kind of really sad, that said that, I'm trying to word it in a way where it doesn't get me banned or anything like that. I'm telling you, YouTube can be a little bit frustrating and scary when it comes to that. But they basically told him to end himself, and they said that his mom should, when she was pregnant, should have do the whole rope thing and just gently hang out somewhere. That's like the best way I could say it that wouldn't get me obliterated, right? But you understand what I mean when I say that. They effectively said that Horikoshi's mom should have done the deed herself while she was pregnant with him, right? When he was just a little infant. So I saw that, and while researching a little bit before the stream, and it kind of made me really sad that a lot of people were saying these very heinous and messed up things towards Horikoshi over a character's name and stuff like that. It was crazy. It was honestly insane. And it just didn't stop. It didn't stop for a while. And Horikoshi has said, I'm pretty sure he said before, that he does get depressed, right? In like interviews and stuff like that. He was like, oh, I was massively depressed. I was going through stuff around the beginning of My Hero Academia, because if it failed, I would never work in manga ever again. And we know that he gets depressed. He's a person. So imagine if he wasn't that strong-willed or was weak-willed, and saw some of these things, and he actually did something, right? He did something to himself. How do you go back from that? And I'm glad nothing happened to Horikoshi. I'm glad uh, he came out of it okay. I'm pretty sure he did get depressed off of what was going on, and he was probably in shock over everything. But to me, it was just like, why would you say stuff like that to somebody, especially when you don't know what was probably going on? And for me, like I said before, to me, it kind of made sense why Dr. Ujiko was even named that and to begin with, because he's a Japanese person who does experiments on people, and he's a really bad person. So it made sense why he was named that. And I'm not saying like, it's a good thing he was named that or anything because of what happened. I'm just saying like it makes sense why he was named that, and how, fiction can relate to reality. So, of course, once things, well, things weren't dying down, but once things were in the most heated, we did get a sort of apology from Horikoshi. Now, I believe it wasn't necessarily from Horikoshi themselves, it was more like from Jump. And they issued an apology, and they said, Horikoshi didn't really mean for the name to be that way. It was just his name. And he didn't want it to, cause this mass controversy over it. It was just the way he named him, and it had nothing to do with, what happened back in World War II. It had nothing to do with it. That's what he said. Now, me personally, I kind of don't believe it, because, well, not that he didn't want to start controversy or anything like that. I believe he genuinely didn't think that this would be controversial. But the naming, right? Horikoshi, the way he names characters is very on the nose, right? And of course, he did say that a part of his name was supposed to relate to All for One, being, Shigaraki and stuff like that. So, Shigaraki and All for One, and that's kind of what he was going for, and how, we know that Dr. Ujiko is, I wouldn't say in love with All for One, but he looks up to All for One, and he's very loyal to All for One. So that's why he sort of gave him that name. It was even said that, hey, the name was supposed to resemble more of All for One and not what was going on. I didn't want to start a controversy over it. But I honestly believe that's 100% BS, because, well, like I said, 90% at least, because I do believe he didn't want to start controversy. But his naming schemes, they all relate to something. Whether or not a character's name relates to their quirk or whatever, right? Their names always relate to something. And specifically, a good example of this would be Izuku Midoriya. He has the kanji that says 9, and he is the 9th user of One for All. Deku, Bakugo has, I believe, 2 in his name, the kanji for 2. And a lot of people use it as the theory, like, oh, he's supposed to be the 2nd user of One for All. I don't believe it. I think he's just the 2nd main protagonist, which is why I think that's why he has the kanji for 2 in his name. But that's just me personally, honestly. And a lot of the times, the names could represent their personality. So Ochako, right, has the name of has the words or the kanji for lovely and stuff like that, and that's kind of what she is. Her personality is very lovely. She's a kind person. She's caring, right? So that fits with the naming scheme. Horikoshi isn't dumb when it comes to naming these characters and having specifically having those names means something that relates to them. So that's why I believe that when Horikoshi or when the statement came out from Jump that the name was supposed to relate to the villain and not what was going on, I think that was kind of bullshit. So but then, like, Horikoshi apologized, or we got the big apology, and things kind of died down after that point. And this controversy was, honestly, for me, it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I just don't understand how people kind of jump to those really big conclusions on what Horikoshi was had in mind when creating that character or creating the name for that character. And I'm sorry that I kind of stumbled upon my words and I was jumping over the place, but this is like a little bit of a hard controversy to follow because of how big it was. Now, now with the apology having been stated by Jump and Horikoshi, the ban got lifted. China lifted the ban on My Hero Academia. Everything was pretty much good between My Hero Academia and China, and well, Japan and China, and now My Hero Academia was being loved again over there. But that doesn't mean that fans came back. Some fans, yes, they did come back from the controversy, because like I said prior, a lot of fans dropped the series because of it. But some fans came back, but a lot of fans stayed away from it because they honestly believe in their heart of hearts that My Hero Academia supports fascism, and all because of this small little name. And that to me is honestly insane. I honestly believe that if you drop a series over one tiny little thing like that, and I'm not saying that the name itself resembles something tiny, right? The name means something important to China and Japan because that's a part of their history. But a name for a character is relatively small. And to drop a series over something small like that, over a name change or a character's name or something that a character represents or something that a character has done, because I know a lot of people don't want to read My Hero Academia all because Bakugo told Deku to jump off of a building, right? You were never a fan to begin with. Personally, that's how I feel. I feel if you drop a series over something like that, you were never a fan to begin with. It's almost like when the new chapter came out and Bakugo could possibly be gone. A lot of people were like, "I'm dropping the series if this is the case," and it makes you wonder, were you even a fan of it to begin with, or were you just a fan for the ships? You just like these characters because they look cute, and well, cute to you, and you want to see a ship go down where two males like each other, right? It's like, were you even a fan to begin with, or were you just a fan of the ship? Were you a fan to begin with, or were you, you know, why would something this small? And I get like for Bakugo it's a little different because that's a big thing within My Hero Academia, but it's like it makes you question the validity of some people's love for the series. Like, how far did it really extend? Did you just love the series for what it had to offer, for the things that they were doing, for the heroes, for the plot, for the world itself? Were you even invested, or were you only invested in something very tiny, or were you just a casual reader? It makes you really wonder. And to me personally, people who drop the series for something small like that, or just for something dumb in general, I don't believe you were ever a fan to begin with, or a big fan, or someone that was really invested in the series. But honestly, that's just my take on it. Again, I believe this was the ultimate reach for what happened back then. I think a lot of people were reaching, and I do think this is one of the controversies that I think is the dumbest controversy that has ever happened. Now, am I trying to disregard anybody's feelings? No. I do believe if you did get offended during the time and didn't like what Horikoshi was doing, or didn't like what was being said, you have every right to throw away your stuff. You have every right to drop the series, but do not badmouth it for something that you misunderstood. And do not come at the creator for something that you misunderstood, right? If you dropped it, that's fine. Just drop it. But don't come back when things are getting good, or when you realize that it was a misunderstanding. Who told you to jump to that conclusion, right? that's personally how I feel about it. Let you guys let me know how you guys felt about the situation that happened back then. Of course, like I said, you really had to have been there or at the time to have seen all of this go down, because it was insane. It was still, to me, probably the biggest thing that has ever happened when it comes to outside of the series, like in the real world. And we all know that Dabi trended to the max because of the reveal, but this was honestly something that was bigger than that. And you know, fandom praise is one thing, but fandom hate probably trends more than anything else. So that's basically what I have to say about that. I hate myself. I was trying to drag down the screen, but I dragged down the wrong screen. I was trying to drag down the window, but sorry about that. Again, I folded to the gods. Now I'm gonna read some of what you guys have said. It was only a 30-minute long sort of rant about what happened, so we're gonna get into more controversies. I honestly thought I was going to be on this for like at least an hour, but I think I sort of ran through it pretty well. I hope everybody understood what I was going for, or not what I was going for, but understood the sort of timeline of things, and I hope I did sort of explain it correctly, so that way a lot of you guys aren't completely confused. But if you are confused on something, please let me know so I can answer your question, or hopefully answer it better or explain it better than what I did before. I'm still relatively new to the streaming stuff, and I'm not good with talking, just straight up just talking without a script. We all know I script my videos, so you know it's hard. But let's go over these. What some of you had to say. Are we going to see Deku's dad reveal at the end of the series? Apparently, that is supposed to be a thing. Horikoshi has stated that we were going to see his dad by the end of the series. Just arrived. What were we talking about? We were talking about the My Fascist Academia controversy that went down. You missed a whole like 30, almost a whole 40 minutes of that, of just us going about that. It was a big rabbit hole. The stream will still be up after I'm done streaming. So if you do want to go back and watch that part of the stream, you're more than welcome to do so. Just keep that in mind for when the stream does actually end later. Rachel said, we live in a world with reasonable people who understand things versus people that are way too sensitive nowadays about any little thing that they can fuss about to put it in simple terms. Yeah, that is 100% true. A lot of people, there are some people who are very understandable of what's going on in certain situations, not jumping into conclusions on certain things that might happen or might be considered very controversial, right? And they'll try to understand things first, get all of the details correct before making their final judgment. And yet, what I like to call the Twitter, the Twitter of people tend to jump to conclusions a lot of the time. They will probably hear something very false, and once they hear that's what they think for the rest of their life. Well, not for the rest of their life, but for a very long time, that is what they think, because that's what they heard first. So when they hear something first, it's like, oh, well, he did something very wrong, and it's like, no, actually that wasn't the case. This is exactly what happened. This person might have been lying about them, right? Or it's just like, hey, this person actually lied about what was going on, and now it defamatory, right? I think that's what it is. It defamed them, or it defamed another person, and it messed up their whole career. And that's what a lot of people nowadays tend to do. So yeah, I'm glad there's people within my community that believe that, or there's still reasonable people out there. That's what I like to see a lot. Now, since there wasn't that much responses in the chat, let's go on to another controversy that happened. Now, these rest of these controversies are pretty small compared to what we just talked about, and I honestly might chop that beginning portion and turn it into a smaller video or just talk about it in general. But don't worry, I won't do that a lot. I'm thinking about it, but I might not do it anyways. But yeah, let's talk about it even more. So another topic I want to talk about when it comes to controversies was Deku receiving multiple quirks. Now, this to me, I don't know why this was a controversy, honestly. I don't even know why half the controversies that happen or that surround My Hero Academia are controversies to begin with, because to me, they make absolutely no sense on why people are so mad about it. But Deku receiving multiple quirks was one of them. And what surprised me about it was I felt like a lot of people weren't reading My Hero Academia correctly, or they were just reading a bunch of fan translations and weren't actually reading the official translations on what was going on, because we do know there are a lot of people who are like that, who only read the fan translations, when Shonen Jump is a free app that you can get, and every new chapter that comes out is free. You can read the new chapter that comes out. So I don't know why people are still are honestly, and that's not a plug or anything like that, or sponsorship or anything like that. It's an app I've been using for quite a long time, and I obviously pay for it, because I go back and I make videos. But it has that option. You can read the latest and new chapter for free, and even when the anime is coming out, they release a good portion of chapters that relate to the season for free that you can read. So it makes me wonder, how do these people get such misinformation when these chapters are free every week? But I don't know. That's just me, right? But at the time, it made me wonder, were people actually even reading My Hero Academia correctly? Because to me, I thought it was kind of obvious that it was set up that Deku was going to get multiple quirks. Now, the reason why I say this is because the way we learned, or what we know, or what we knew about One for All, right, was that the way it originally was created was, Yoichi had a quirk that he was able to pass down. His quirk's ability was him being able to pass down his quirk to other people. But there was another quirk that All for One gave him, because they both thought that he was quirkless, right? Which was the stockpile quirk. He gave him the stockpile quirk, and Yoichi's quirk and the stockpile quirk merged together and created one for all, right? So, every user, whatever they build up the strength of the quirk is going, due to the stockpile ability, will be transferred over to the next user. Now, when you have a quirk that is sort of known to have started by merging itself with another quirk to form a new quirk, what makes you think that ability, for that merging ability, was going to never be a thing ever again after that, right? And when I remember when I first learned, or when we first found out about the way One for All had worked, I was like, oh, does that mean all the other users' quirks are within One for All, and will Deku be able to use it one day? That's what happened. Peakdemia? My Hero Peakademia. I think that's what you were going for. That's actually funny. Sorry, I just read a chat. But it just made me wonder what the hell was going on. So that was definitely, I don't understand how that was a controversy at all. And there was a lot of setup for it. Honestly, I believe there was a lot of setup for this to happen, because there was multiple points throughout the series where it was kind of hinted at, whenever whenever the series delved into One for All, the ability, or Deku training with it and stuff like that. There was hints that Deku was probably going to end up receiving these quirks, or was going to be able to unlock and use the quirks of the past users, right? Obviously not All Might, because he was quirkless, but every other user who had a quirk, Deku was going to be able to access it. So that to me, I don't know why was a controversy. That's another controversy for me because I don't understand how uh, people were upset about it. I do get that. Hey, he got too strong way too fast, right? He became absolutely broken after that. But I don't believe that was the case either because the quirks are garbage. If we're gonna be completely honest with Deku's quirks, they are garbage, right? And what I mean by obviously, over time the quirks gained more power because of the stockpile ability and just being within one for all for a long ass time. But the quirks back then were a lot more garbage compared to now. And even though they have gotten stronger due to that, them being inside one for all for a very long time, it still doesn't change the fact that they're garbage, right? Black Whip is probably the one quirk that was amazing, right? That was the one quirk that was honestly the best. And even Black Whip, the guy himself was like, "Yeah, this is probably the best quirk." so like we see that, and then we see what Danger Sense. Danger Sense is a very good quirk in my opinion because it's basically Spider Sense. But other than that, what the other guy has Smoke Screen. Fajin is basically a pseudo one for all. We don't know the second user's quirk, but that seems to be a very powerful one. Float, Nana Shimura's quirk. That's about it, right? What Deku just floats. Deku, we've seen Deku fly already in the series, so it just I don't get it, right? We've already seen Deku fly in the series when he fought Overhaul. So Deku having float is just kind of like pointless at that point. Like he could do that thing where in One Piece, if any of you have ever seen One Piece, where they just continually kick the air and they stay floating in the air. Deku basically has done that. Deku can do that, right? That's not an ability he cannot do. So because just one for all itself is just so strong, he just punches and he can fly, or he kicks, he can fly. So that's already was something that wasn't out of Deku's range. He didn't need flow, but he has it, right? It's a quirk that he has, and it probably makes it easier for him. But it still is technically, or when you look at it, it's technically a lame quirk to have, but he has it. So even the quirks themselves necessarily don't make Deku that overpowered. So I never seen that Deku getting all of these quirks was him being massively overpowered because a lot of them weren't that good to begin with. So, but at the time, a lot of people were very upset with Deku receiving all of these quirks. Now, that was we're gonna get into another controversy, but I do like to read chat in between. And why are you guys not commenting? I love seeing you guys commenting, but some of you guys are slacking today. Is it because the stream is a little later than usual? I'm sorry for that. I was going to stream a lot earlier, but I woke up very late. I'm not even gonna lie. I woke up very late. But let's read what the Asha Gord has said. That's what I always loved about My Hero Academia. How a lot of the quirks are either dumb at face value or have a lot of limitations. I comment slow. It's alright. It's alright. I'm just messing with you guys. Or have a lot of limitations. And they find creative ways to make them useful. Yeah. Honestly, that's what I really love about the series too, right? Because Mirio is probably the best example of this. He has a quirk that is kind of dog shit. It's very garbage when you really look at it, right? Because Mirio can end himself if he doesn't use the quirk properly. He will die if he doesn't use it properly. But he's mastered the quirk to the point where it's honestly a quirk that makes him invincible. Well, he's not entirely invincible, but you get what I mean, right? He can phase through objects. Currently, right now in the manga, he's fighting Shigaraki, of all people, and is holding his own. Not necessarily holding his own, but you know what I mean. He's not getting hurt. He's not getting hit. He's he's standing there and he's trying to fight Shigaraki to sort of get him off the path of fully finishing off Bakugo, which I believe, like I said before, I do believe Bakugo is gone, but you know what I mean. Uh, he's there. He's putting in the work. He's not getting hurt. He's probably the one character who has the least damage in that big fight with Shigaraki, right? And I love how we got that sort of background for Mirio back then, that hey, my quirk is absolute garbage. His dad even says, bro, your quirk is absolute garbage. Like, I have the same quirk and I was too scared to do it because I didn't want to accidentally, hurt myself because of it. And he was afraid, so he didn't go through with being a hero. But Mirio wasn't, and he decided to surpass that limitation to get ahead of the curve. And though he had plenty of setbacks, he still managed to become one of the best heroes in UA, right? He's the big three at UA. So it's surprisingly very cool how such a quirk that could be considered a very lame quirk was used so effectively by someone like Mirio. Mirio managed to take that useless quirk, or a quirk that was very awful for him, and made it work. And he's one of the biggest characters in the series, and honestly most beloved character as well. uh Hold on, I don't know why the chat box got murked right there, but there you go. Sorry. I have a couple things I want to say, but it's limited by not only me thinking out my comments before I type it out, but also limited word count thing. LOL. Yeah, it's fine if you need to take your time when commenting. I'm not forcing nobody. I was just joking around and stuff like that. Because like I said, I like to interact with you guys a lot. This is why streaming is so cool. For me, because I get to interact with a lot of you. Plus, I don't do this often, the whole commenting thing. So yeah. Oh, that's fine. I'm sorry. I don't want to pressure nobody. But thank you for commenting. I'm glad at least for the stream and for this channel, you are here and you are voicing yourself. I actually like Deku having multiple quirks, especially seeing what Shigaraki is now. Yeah, I honestly didn't mind Deku having multiple quirks when that went down, because to me it was like, bro, you're fighting a guy with multiple quirks. How do you fight against that, right? All Might did it. All Might definitely did it. But Deku, right? Deku's like, compared to All For One, compared to Shigaraki, how were you supposed to fight against something like that, right? Deku's so inexperienced, and it was just like it was cool to see him get multiple quirks, because now he could challenge All For One, right? And I'm more in the mindset of back then, because back then All For One was basically the big bad until Shigaraki sort of took over. Not took over, because it was always like Shigaraki was going to be the main villain, but you know we saw that All For One went to jail, and then we're like, he's gonna break out one of these days, and Deku's going to have to fight that. So how is Deku going to have to fight someone with multiple quirks? How did All Might do it? We still never seen how All Might did it, but we got a lot of context clues that, hey, All Might just brute forced his way into messing up All For One. So I love when I love that they sort of gave Deku those quirks to sort of combat that, and we might see a different fight than what we would have seen with All For One versus All Might, right? All Might versus All For One is just like, I'm throwing all these quirks at you, and All Might's like, I'm gonna just brute force my way through all of these quirks and just destroy you, right? But with Deku having multiple quirks, we can see a lot more utility being used there. We could see a lot more things going down when it comes to Deku having more quirks. So it wouldn't, if we do ever get to see how All Might destroyed well, I guess you could technically say Shigaraki, because All For One's last name is actually Shigaraki. But when we see, if we do get to see it, it'll be vastly different from what we will see now. But with Shigaraki being the beast that he is now, and having all those genetic augmentations and stuff like that, it's going to be a massively different battle. So, oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more people in the chat now. Love to see content creators showing love for My Hero Academia, seeing as it's a cool thing to hate on My Hero Academia now. Yeah, my love for My Hero Academia, it has never dwindled or faded in any sort of way, because to me it's just like, I don't know, I love this series. I personally am a big fan of the whole hero villain thing. I love heroes, I love villains, and My Hero Academia was that, or is that for me, right? And I'm not a big fan of Marvel and DC anymore. I still am a fan, but not anymore. I don't like kind of like the direction they've been going with their movies and stuff like that. I think should have just ended at Endgame, and then we started a new universe. That's how I think. And plus, DC's kind of just fumbling the bag with their movies, and they honestly, it looks like they don't know what they're doing at all. But you know, My Hero Academia was that thing for me. It was like, wow, this is something new. This is something interesting. I love this world, and I love these characters. These characters, no matter how like, you know, some people might have a problem with the Bakugo thing. No matter how crazy that Bakugo is, he's still a likable character to a certain extent. Well, at least for me, right? I love him. I like pause, but I love Bakugo. Bakugo is a dope character, and all these characters have something interesting to them that I really like. Even characters that other people tend to hate on, like Ochako and stuff like that, I find ways to really like their character, and I think Ochako is still a very greatly or a good developed character that I'll probably end up making a video on why I feel that way, and hopefully try and convince or try and have people sort of see what I mean by that. And it'll have it, of course it's going to have something to do with Toga as well, because those two are kind of like mirror characters. So, you know, I'm not going to get too much into it, but you know, this series, it means a lot to me, honestly. And My Hero Academia, I still believe, is probably one of the best superhero series franchises out there right now. And a lot of people could say, you know, hey, you know, what about the boys, or what about Marvel, what about DC? And to me, that this is what I'm looking for right now, and this series is giving me everything that I'm looking for in a comic book. It's linear, it's a grand story, and I don't need to pick up some random comic book to get into a comic book, right? Because we all know how comic books are, that there's not one good starting spot. You just pick a spot and you start from there, which is so weird to me. Like, I want the origins, I want all of that. And My Hero Academia is giving me that. So yeah, that I'm glad you feel that way. My so far, my opinions on My Hero Academia, it's great. I love it. But yeah. Asha Gord, I'll admit that the only real problem I might have is if they fake us out with this Bakugo thing. I love him, and I wish they hadn't done it, but they did. So commit. Well, I do think there are ways to get around it logically. In the stream prior, when we were talking about the chapter, somebody brought up the fact that, you know, Best Genius could mess with the muscle fibers on Bakugo's heart and basically patch him back up, and then, you know, the nitroglycerin within his heart could help bring his blood flow coming back and pumping it back again, especially if they do CPR and try to resuscitate him, right? And I thought it was pretty genius how that was the most logical way of getting around, or logical way of bringing a character back to life, because like I said before in that stream specifically, we have seen time and time again characters dying in different series and coming back to life in ridiculous ways. I think the one that I hate the most, well, not hate the most, but the one that I thought was kind of ridiculous was the one in Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter. No, I say Hunter x Hunter. That's just the way I say it. why you put the X there, right? but but in Hunter x Hunter, uh, they killed off what was it, Kite? They killed off Kite. Kite was dead. Kite was dead for the whole arc, and at the end of the arc, he's back. He's back, and he's technically reincarnated as an ant or a chimera ant, and I thought that was so dumb. I was like, bro, why couldn't they just commit to it? Right? They commit to a lot of characters' deaths in Hunter x Hunter. I'm not saying that they don't commit, but that one character that they probably should have committed that would have helped Gon grow even more from it would be Kite, because Gon loves Kite, right? Kite taught him a lot, or Gon. No, wait, yeah, Kite taught him a lot. I started fumbling. Kite taught him a lot, and he appreciated a lot of the things that Kite had done for him, and to have him back kind of takes away what happened, even though it was still sad, right? I believe Gon was still sad by the end of that arc, because he's like, damn, Kite came back, but he is still not my Kite, basically. Even though it is him, but it's still like, he's practically a different character at that point. But it was still sad to see. But a lot of people, me personally, I just didn't like the way that he came back, being reincarnated as a chimera ant. That just wasn't for me. And of course, there's other examples like, Sasuke completely getting obliterated but coming back because he was the reincarnation of, I believe, Indra, and of course Naruto doing the same thing. But like I said in the stream, I'm more lenient on Naruto because he actually had a transferred Kurama back into him. So, but for Sasuke, to me, it's like, I don't know how he came back from that. And yeah, there's plenty of examples of characters just dying and then coming back ridiculously. But for My Hero Academia, I'm more like, I would be a lot more fine if they did fake us out and brought him back in a very logical, smart way that makes sense within real life and within the story's fiction. Because of course, with My Hero Academia, you have to be a little bit more lenient on what you see, or because it's fiction, you have to suspend your disbelief when it comes to that. So if they make it make sense, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Bakugo coming back. Mark, I was okay with Deku having multiple quirks, because even if he has 7 quirks, All For One has hundreds. So how they want that to be fair for a kid with 1 quirk to beat him, like, LOL. Yeah, that's personally how I feel. All For One has an arsenal of quirks compared to Deku, so I still think it not only just does it level the playing field, but it's it's very, I think it balances itself out in a way. Plus, the majority of his quirks aren't really OP and are more support quirks, besides the second and third users. I think second and third. I would say the fourth should be included in there, because Danger Sense is a very strong quirk in my opinion, because you literally get freaking Metal Gear exclamation points above your head on somebody attacking you, and the ultimate spider sense, right? So I think the fourth quirks is very powerful in my opinion. I really want to see what Deku 1 for All 100% plus Fajin plus second user quirk looks like when he fights Shiggy. Yeah, me too. I can't wait for that fight to go down, because I know Horikoshi is not going to disappoint. Even though a lot of people might get upset with what will potentially happen, which is Deku saving Shigaraki. But the way I see that, and the way the previous chapter, which I believe was 360 or 361, is that since Shigaraki has DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, which for if you guys didn't know, that's practically what he has, because Tenko within his body is practically a different personality in there, and he did take over Shig for One's body for a second to talk to talk crap to Mirio, but then got pushed out by the other mind, which was Shik for One, right? And Shik for One took over, but Tenko is still in there. Tenko is still a personality that's in there, right? Who just hasn't grown up. So, with Shigaraki having DID, I think there is a big possibility that Shigaraki could be saved. And I think a lot of people are going to be really pissed off about that. But for me, if that does end up being the case, and they do it correctly with the whole Tenko personality thing and the whole DID situation, I think it would be a really interesting way to sort of beat a character. Because honestly, like, I'm cheesing it right now because just thinking about it, I could see it going terribly wrong. But I could see it going terribly, like, not terribly, but really good. I could see it going really good. Because just imagining how Horikoshi is going to handle it is intriguing me, honestly. And but we'll just have to wait and see. I still can't wait to see that fight. I think it's going to be one of the biggest fights and the most epic fight in the series. And I've said it before, Star and Stripes versus Shigaraki is my favorite fight in the entire series, just because of how batshit crazy it was. And oh my goodness. And I just, it was just crazy for me. That's basically the best way I could say it. Yeah, I love that fight. But I do think Shigaraki versus Deku, whenever that happens, is going to definitely beat that fight. It's going to be way bigger and way more intense. I'm already calling it. Let's see. Facts. Super Crooks was dope too. I think he should be crippled at least if they bring him back. Oh, Bakugo. Yeah, I do think this will probably be his last arc. Well, not last arc, but his last time being a hero, basically. If he does come back. If he does come back to life, I don't want him to be okay. like I want him to have some really big repercussions from what had just happened. Because if he just comes back and he's fine and he can do hero work like normal without like having some sort of scar or how do I say it, like basically, like, if when he's doing hero work he still feels the pain of what happened, right? I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry, I fumbled the words, but that's what I mean. If he doesn't have something like that going on where he still feels the pain of what happened during that war, then I think it's going to be kind of dirty. Like, I think it's going to be trash. But hey, I think Bakugo, which I say this all the time, I think Bakugo, once this thing is over, and if something happens to him where he cannot go back to being a hero, I would love to see him teaching. I would love to see him teaching the next generation of heroes. I think that would be freaking funny as hell and dope. Like, I said the same thing about Endeavor. Like, I want to see him teaching just simply because I think it would be cool on how he, like, he doesn't really like Yue like that. And he sort of, well, not that he doesn't like Yue, but he's more like, I hate the school motto. He's very, like, a downer about Yue. But Horikoshi, his original concept or design for Endeavor was that he was originally going to be a teacher at UA, but he changed that to make him a pro and an active pro hero that's out on the streets with his own agency and stuff like that. So, like, with Endeavor, I would love to see him be a teacher after all of this is over, if he survives. It's a big if he survives. And if Bakugo survives, I would love to see him end up becoming a teacher as well and taking more of a back seat. Of course, I did think that he was, like, by the end of the series, they were going to form this sort of Avengers team. I have that theory on the channel. But with Bakugo's heart, like, blowing up like that, I don't know if he would be really good to be out on the field by that point. So, we'll see. We just have to wait and see. But, man, what you think is going to happen in chapter 363? This is what I honestly think is going to happen. I think Horikoshi is going to fake us out even harder than we originally anticipated. I think Horikoshi is going to not even look at what happened at Bakugo. I think we're going to go to a different part of the war. I think we're going to go and see what everybody else is doing at that time. And then maybe by the end of the chapter we'll get a glimpse of Bakugo and see what's going on, but I don't think we're going to see that much of Bakugo this chapter. Or in chapter 363. I honestly think Horikoshi, and I feel like Horikoshi is the type to do this, where we're going to probably go to a different part of the battlefield and see what's going on there for a little bit, and then we'll come back. But depending on what happens, we could see what eventually happened to Bakugo, and we could see more characters' reactions because we know Momo is there, right? Momo and Kaminari are there. We could see something happening where they hear the news, and this is like my other theory for what we could see in 363. But they could hear the news, they start crying. We get to Kaminari. Kaminari gets the news about what happened to Bakugo, and he sort of gets super depressed to the point where he can't use his quirk. Not can't use his quirk, but like he's not outputting the power needed, right? We've seen that he was excited before, like he was like, yeah, we're gonna get this done, and he's charging up the barrier, the UA barrier. We could probably see that he gets so depressed from the news that he effectively doesn't output a lot of electricity to the point where the barrier starts shutting down, and Shigaraki could see that as his moment to dip. Like he just completely dips, and he goes off to wherever Deku's at, or where Deku's currently at. That I could definitely see happening. So we'll see. That's kind of my little theory on it, on what we could potentially see in those or not those two chapters, but in chapter 362, 63. I can't speak. And yeah, what do you guys think about that? Honestly, that's like the best thing that I could come up with right now. Well, not really come up with, but what I feel is going to happen. Let's see. I'm okay if they revive Deku if the way he comes back is done satisfyingly. Well, and I'm sorry I butchered your chat. Well, and also in a way that makes sense and not in a crap way like Eri rewinding him. Yeah, I feel that. I don't like the whole Eri rewinding him situation because, like I've said in a previous stream, there's nobody in their right mind would take Eri out into a super dangerous battlefield to rewind Bakugo, right? She would get obliterated. She has no hero training. She doesn't know how to fight. Well, from what we know, she doesn't know how to fight. So she would get obliterated on that same battlefield with Shigaraki. So I don't think the Eri thing is going to happen, but I do want to see it done in a smart way. Rachel, yeah, Deku's quirk isn't super crazy nor too overpowered. One Punch Man is someone who's definitely in the OP category, but that's just a random example to throw out there, LMAO. Yeah, well, technically, One For All is the most powerful quirk within the series, right? When you say One Punch Man, I totally understand what you're saying, but One Punch Man is super overpowered. But in terms of the series, One For All is technically a super overpowered quirk, though Stars and Stripes is a great example of something that is super overpowered, but I feel like was done in the right way, where it's overpowered but it has restrictions. It has good restrictions that make it overpowered, but not as insanely overpowered as something like a freaking JoJo's stand, right? But it's an overpowered quirk, but it's done good. And One For All is a overpowered quirk, but it got balanced out with Shigaraki having all of those genetically modified things done to him. So I think it's honestly perfectly balanced right now, as all things should be. I think the Shigaraki and Deku balance is honestly great right now. Uh, Asha, that's how I feel about Bakugo. There's a few ways to bring him back, but to do it would diminish the states and or the stakes, in my opinion, which I believe that's what you meant. Uh, yeah, it would diminish it a little bit, but I don't think like that would be the only thing that happens to a character. I do believe a lot of characters are going to die, like in this arc. Uh, I have we seen a character die yet? I think Bakugo was like the first big thing that happened, right? But I'm pretty sure we're going to see a ton of characters dying. It's just not right now. And if Bakugo does die, that'll be huge, man. That'll be huge because that'll be the first big character that we know and that we really like that is going to die, or that dies. So we'll see. I do think the stakes are still very high right now because one, Bakugo got obliterated, and I don't think that's the final character that's going to die, or well, not going to die, but I don't think that's the final character that something big is going to happen to. I do believe that many characters are going to die. um Fresh. I'm not gonna say that first name because I don't know how to. I don't want to mess it up. Dougie, I think. Well, Fresh, or Doogie. I don't see Deku winning, but it will be a great fight regardless. Yeah, I don't think Deku's actually going to win that fight, and I say that because I think the only way he's going to win is by reaching out to Tenko within Shigaraki. But I do also see him folding, like folding by giving up One for All. I think because I have a theory on the channel. I say this all the time. I have a theory on the channel where I think Shigaraki is going to be the 10th user of One for All, and that's how he's going to be defeated, by getting One for All. All for One is going to get exactly what he wants, which is One for All, and he's going to die because One for All is so powerful at this point in time that he he possibly did not calculate or put into factor of One for All being even more powerful than he anticipated. Right? It's going to be a variable that he didn't account for, which is One for All being a lot more powerful than he anticipated, and then we're going to see a cool like callback to the beginning of the series where he gets all of this power and he effectively blows up, right? Because we all remember, which I hope we all remember, in the beginning of the series, All Might said that this quirk is so powerful that people blow up. like well, you could blow up, not people blew up, but you could blow up from it. Like we saw an example of like Deku having his body parts flying everywhere, because the power within One for All was just too much for his body to handle at the time, right? That was before Deku had worked out and done all that training. I think this is something that's talked about in episode 3, season 1, or the second chapter of My Hero Academia, second or third chapter of My Hero Academia, right? I think it's talked about and shown in those chapters and in that episode where we see the explanation that, hey, this quirk is so powerful that if you don't get your body built up, or if you're not strong enough to hold it, you could probably explode from all the power that's all the built up power that's within the quirk. So that's kind of how I saw it, and how I think it's going to happen. If Deku doesn't save Shigaraki, if he can't save Shigaraki, I think that's probably his go-to plan, especially if he can't win or can't get to Tenko, right? I think that might be a possibility. That could be a possibility of how they win, and I think it would be cool, honestly. I think it would be a cool way to see it. But then it brings up the question: can the series go on without One for All? And to me, yes, this world is big enough where I want to see every part of it, and I do believe anything in My Hero Academia could hold up because the name itself, My Hero Academia, people are going to want to read it. So, just You can start a new spin-off that takes place somewhere else, and we could just get started from there. It doesn't have to revolve around One for All and All for One. The One for All and All for One saga is tied together with Vigilantes and My Hero Academia, and of course Team Up Missions. Right? That's the One for All saga. We can do a whole different saga with different characters somewhere else, and it'll still be just as good, in my opinion. Or a lot of people will still be interested in it because the world itself is interesting enough where I would want to see that happen. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Sorry, I kind of like went off a little bit on how I think the series should go when it comes to spin-offs, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that would be cool, seeing Deku saving Shigaraki. Hopefully I spelled his name right. LOL. Yeah, you did. Fresh. Tenko. Tenko might be saved, but Shigaraki is far beyond talk no jutsu. Yes. Yes, that I see happening. I don't think what the plan is, what I think the plan is going to end up being is that he can't talk to Shigaraki. He needs to get to Tenko. He needs to get to the Tenko personality and bring him out and have him take control of the body, so that way he can stop all of this madness. Because Shigaraki can't be saved. Shigaraki, the personality of Shigaraki, or Shig for one, is someone who cannot be saved. That is something that cannot be done, right? We know this to be the case because they're probably the worst versions of themselves. All for One is in there, merged in with freaking Shigaraki, who also has his problems, and Tenko is practically the only sane, or he's a kid, and he is probably a lot easier to persuade. So if they get that personality to officially take over and take control of this body and learn to grow and use it to for good, that is probably the best way that could be handled, or to defeat Shigaraki, because or to not to say to save Shigaraki, not defeat. But if they're going down the save route, you need to reach Tenko. You can't talk to Shigaraki. It has to be Tenko. Because if they somehow make Shigaraki, the Shigaraki personality, into a good guy, then to me that's complete ass. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those fans that judges My Hero Academia on the good and bad. If you guys have been around since guys and girls, I don't want people to get confused that guys, stuff like that. But if you guys have been around for like over a year, you guys know that I criticized the hell out of season 5. Just because it's My Hero Academia doesn't mean I'm head over heels over everything they do, right? Even though I love the series to death, I'm still gonna be very critical of what I see, because I want nothing but the best for My Hero Academia, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. But I do think it would be a very, very bad way to go about it if Shig for one gets defeated by Talk No Jutsu via Shigaraki and not via Tenko. Tenko is the way to go about it. Rachel, you do have a point. Thanks. Fresh, once Deku finds out Bakugo's dead, there will be no talking. yeah, it's gonna be over. But I do think Deku during the rage is probably going to see Tenko again and realize that that's a different person. Like, the Tenko is a different person compared to Shigaraki or the Shig for one personality. So he's gonna probably get past that rage at that point and realize there's still a chance to save this person, no matter how bad, or no matter what badness they've done, they could still be saved, right? Because of how messed up Shigaraki is as a personally, like his personality and stuff like that. There could be an easy case where Shigaraki could probably get off scot-free. Let's see. I'm still reading. You guys are going crazy right now. Rachel. Oh God, I would walk out the classroom to change classes if Endeavor was my teacher. Bro, I would sign up for more classes. I love Endeavor. Like, not his actions or anything like that, but his character growth is one of my favorite things about his character. Like I just love that about his character. Like he's effectively a different character than what he was before, and I love that. I love that he's not he's not looked at as, like, even in the story itself, he's not looked at as a good guy. He's looked at as someone who's like trying to change his ways, and that's what I like about it. They're not forgetting about what he's done in the past. Nobody's forgetting about what he's done in the past, but uh that's just I like it. I like that nobody's forgetting about it, but he's effectively still changing as a person. I will get to the next controversy. I just want to finish these last ones up. Man, I hope we see Nasa. Yeah, he should be there. I hope we do get to see him too. I like to assume she is very far away from the battlefield. Yeah, Eri is definitely across the map. She should be in the U.S. right now, just to get away from all that. Uh, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit brainy. I lost where the chat was at. All right, fresh. I don't know where the idea of Eri rewinding Bakugo comes from. Hawks, Mirko, Aizawa, Best Genius, Gran Torino are all characters that could use a rewind. Yeah, that's true, but I like that they don't, because we all know that there's a big possibility that Eri could rewind them from no longer existing, and that's why they don't use Eri. So I love that Eri is necessarily not being used as like a, if something bad happens, we're using Eri to fix everything, right? Just in case the fandom hates what happened. And they're not. Horikoshi isn't using Eri like that, and which I really love. Even though he did, it was for Mario, but it was back then. It was sort of predicted, not predicted, but it was foreshadowed that Mirio was going to get his quirk back by Sir Night-Eye. And we saw it happen. Of course, a lot of people hated that it happened, which I don't get why, because Sir Night-Eye was like, yeah, you're going to be a hero. Like, you're going to be a great hero. So it's like, he basically saw that Mirio was going to get back into hero work. And I don't get why a lot of people were mad about that. That's basically a controversy in itself when you really think about it, but not really. You were right. It's pronounced Doug E, not Dougie. I haven't read the War Arc, but I know what happened in it. I want to go into the best arc of the anime blind. I only been here for like a week now. Not gonna lie. No way. That reminds me of that little Uzi meme where he's like, I only been this is my only third this oh I suck at speaking. This is my third day out here. This is only my third day out here. that kind of reminded me of that. Next controversy, I'll get into that. Let me just read these last two and we'll get into it. If you want to go into this blind, it's going to be hard, especially if you're watching my channel, because we're going to talk about it from time to time. And I'm sorry I kind of like went into it a lot, if you were here for it, because I did kind of go into it a lot. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to spoil, because I didn't know. I'm sorry. Rachel, it's hate love for me, Endeavor, but I will say I'm glad he's slowly trying to improve his bad past actions. Yeah, I love how they don't use her as a walking plot armor, unlike some people in Black Clover Mimosa. I don't read Black Clover, but if that's true, then that's crazy. If they used Eri for rewinds, they would be no better than Overhaul in my eyes. That's honestly true, because that would be like using the child to their own benefit, which is basically what Overhaul did, which was horrendous. It was so bad, and they do not. And I'm glad they don't do it, because they know better. After all this time, do you think Deku is at 100% or less? I still don't think he's at 100% yet. I think even in the manga, it's stated he's not at 100%. So, like right now during the war, he's not there yet. I think he's probably like 70-80% right now. which I believe that's where he's at. So he's not completely there yet, which is crazy. So it makes you wonder how is Deku going to get this thing done. But this thing done. But let's go on to the next controversy. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to it. Everybody was chatting up a storm, and like I said, I just love talking with you guys. So I'm glad we got to talk a little bit out. That was basically the chat segment. Even though we're gonna get back into more of what you guys have to say, because later on I do want to talk about the My Hero Academia live action movie, and you know why haven't we seen more of it? And I do believe there's going to be something big coming soon. But let's get into more. So I had to see it because I do have an article pulled up on some of the controversies, because I don't remember everything, but I guess Stars and Stripes. No, Deku being the chosen one. Deku being the chosen one was and I you know what's funny? I'm gonna make a video about this, but I do want to talk about it a little bit in here. This is gonna be the next controversy. Deku being the chosen one. So a lot of people back during a certain chapter, I forgot which chapter it was, but it was a chapter where basically Deku is talking with all of the past users of One For All, and and they say something along the lines of, "Oh, you have to be the last one, right? And the last person to use this quirk, because we're at a point in society where finding another quirkless person to take on this quirk is going to be impossible." Oh my! I have a picture of Deadpool staring at me, and it's hilarious. Oh, I gotta take that out of my face. We're at a point in society where it's going to be harder to find another quirkless kid like you, whose body is going to be capable of handling the power of One For All. And as we know, and we've come to learn, that when somebody who already has a quirk ends up receiving One For All on top of that, their lifespan gets rapidly cut down, which is like they start dying faster. The fourth user of One For All, that's what happened to him. He died at the age of, I believe, I don't know if it was 40 or like 30 something, right? He's somewhere around there in his 40s to 30s, and he died of old age. So it rapidly aged him. Aged his insides, because his body couldn't handle it. On top of he had a quirk of his own, and then on top of that, he had another quirk, which had stockpiled power from the previous users. So once all this information came out, everybody, and I mean not everybody, but like a lot of people were mad as hell. They were like, "Oh, Deku's just the chosen one. Deku's been the chosen one this whole time," and that's not the case. It was explained within the chapter that Deku was not the chosen one. He was not a chosen one. It was effectively saying that he has to do it. He wasn't meant to be the last one. All Might was going to be the last one until, All For One was still alive, and he needed to pass on that quirk to another person because he couldn't do it anymore. But Deku needed to be the last one because brain fart, because of the way society is today, right? Well, within My Hero Academia, it's going to be a lot harder for him to find someone who could handle the power of One For All, because there's not a lot of quirkless people out there. And of course, there's the running joke, like, oh, Deku runs into somebody who's quirkless all the time, right? Yama being one of them, Melissa Shield being one of them, and stuff like that. There's always somebody who's quirkless that ends up showing up. and that that's its own joke within the fandom. But logically speaking, it's still going to be very, very hard to find someone that not only is quirkless, but that Deku can trust to be a hero and to not do something bad with it, right? Bad with One For All. So I got to go. See ya. I'll be here for future streams. I'm glad. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you. I'll see you. I was gonna say I see you guys in the next one. I'll see you in the next stream. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you came. Uh, but yeah, so that effectively was like, I forgot where I was at because I was saying bye. But like I was saying, I really am brain dead sometimes, guys. I freaking lost what I was saying. Um, that's that good iced tea. But bro, what was I on about? I'm sorry. This is like the worst brain fart I've ever had in my life. But yeah, so with that being said, Deku was not the chosen one, right? He needed somebody. I now I remember. He needed somebody that he could trust. On top of that, right? But that's going to be very hard for him to find in this day and age. He's not going to be able to find someone that he can trust, who on top of that is quirkless, that he could pass one for all onto. He has to be the last one to end this whole feud and this fight between One for All and All for One and Yoichi and the Shigaraki, right? It's going to be him. It has to be him. He has to be the one to do it. He's not meant to be the one to do it. He has to be the one to do it. If he doesn't do it, then somebody else is going to be burdened with this task to finish this job, to finish off Shigaraki or just, the whole feud between the two. Uh, and it's just like, I love that in the chapter it's specifically saying that you're not you're not the chosen one, right? You weren't meant for this, or not meant for this, but you this was something that was supposed to be stopped a long time, and you were never supposed to get involved. And they were sorry about it. They were like, it sucks that we have to put all of this on a kid, right? To end what we effectively started, and you have to be the one to end it all because then someone else is going to be burdened with this task. And in this day and age, you might not even be able to find someone that you can trust enough to take on this great task of defeating All for One and ending this evil. So I love how a lot of people just took that and didn't realize what the hell they were even saying or what was being said in the chapter, because they weren't saying, hey, you're the chosen one, you were meant for this, like the only person that can do it is you. It's like, no, you need to do it. You're the only person that can do it, because you're the only person strong enough to do it. So a lot of people just misunderstood what was being said in that chapter, and it goes against everything that My Hero Academia has set up with Deku, because Deku isn't someone who was meant to be the next One for All user. Remember, Mirio was actually going to probably be the ninth user of One for All, but of course fate happens, and Deku runs into All Might, and All Might was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this kid a chance, and he risked it all with Deku, and a lot of people weren't happy about it, but he ended up giving this shot to Deku, and he, a lot of people believe that Deku wasn't fit for this. He's not fit to do this, and even All for One fries his shit for it. Sir Night didn't like him for that as well, but he slowly proved himself. And what Deku as a character is meant to represent is us, right? Deku, we're supposed to see ourselves in Deku, and that's why Deku has the character design of being so bland, right? We all know the inside joke within the series is that Deku is the bland looking one. He's the plain looking guy, and there's like nothing that really makes him stand out, physically speaking, right, or visually speaking. And Deku, he's supposed to be a blank slate. He's supposed to be somebody that we put ourselves into. And he represents us the most because he's not born with a quirk. He's not born with something special about him. There's nothing really special about Deku, right? He's just a nerd. Like, he's a nerd. And in the world specifically, in My Hero Academia specifically, 80% of the population has a quirk, and he's a part of the 20% that doesn't. He there's nothing special about him. And that, I guess you could say that's a really mean thing to say, but it's true, right? There's was nothing really special about Deku. There's nothing that made him like a Naruto, for example, right? And I know that I do comparisons like that a lot, and the series itself are compared with each other a lot. But Naruto, he's a very outgoing person. He's this, that, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. But Deku is the opposite. Deku's kind of like more reserved, right? Yes, he tries to stand up for himself, but in that first episode or in that first chapter, he doesn't. He's kind of like a depressed person when you really think about it. He's like super depressed. He can't live out his dreams, and when he finally gets that chance, he's crying all the time. That's why a lot of people don't. Well, some people make fun of Deku because he cries. But imagine, put yourselves in that shoe, right? You are given the chance of a lifetime. You're a nobody. You're given a chance of a lifetime to live out your dreams. And you are so grateful to not only this person, but to everything that's gone on in your life, because you have been given the chance to live out your dreams through somebody. All Might, that would be All Might, right? All Might gave him the chance to live out his dreams. And even though he has all this responsibility stacked onto him, he cries because he's grateful of the situation, right? It would be like if somebody came out of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure we've seen those videos where, maybe a big person, or not a big person, but like, a big known person gives somebody who is less fortunate a ton of cash and they start crying, right? We see that a lot of times, and that's basically how Deku is. Deku's mostly representing us when it comes to that, because we don't have quirks. A majority of us aren't rich. Deku isn't really looked at as being rich either. He's just a normal kid. Like, you could put yourself into Deku and it would effectively be the same thing. It's kind of like the Spider-Man situation, right? Spider-Man's meant to represent all of us. That's why he has the mask. That's why there's that famous Stan Lee quote where it's like, hey, he could be Asian, black, white, Hispanic, but you wouldn't know because that's the mask. He's supposed to represent us, the common folk. And then when you find out who Peter Parker is and you see the struggles that he goes through on the daily, it's more realized how much like he represents the common people. And that's what Deku sort of is, where he's supposed to be us. So he wasn't destined for anything. All Might would have never if All Might hadn't done what he did and saved Deku, if things weren't aligned so perfectly, and that's how the story is, right? Fate brought them together. That's pretty much how it is. But the way it's set up is like Deku, Deku, right? Like, Deku's not no chosen one. What about Deku is so special? He's not no chosen one. Other characters in different forms of fiction, you can tell that they're the chosen one because they do crazy stuff, right? Avatar, The Last Airbender, right? The way they find out who's the next Avatar or who's the next who's the next Avatar is that they have to do some specific thing that makes them special, right? They pick certain things that all of the other avatars have picked before. I believe it's like toys or something like that, right? And if they pick those same toys, they're going to be the next avatar. That's what makes them special. That's what makes them the chosen one. But for Deku, he doesn't have anything like that. That's why when a lot of people sort of thought that Deku was like some chosen one for some weird reason because of that chapter, and then you really look at the entirety of the series, it's like, how in Deku at any point in the series was depicted as a chosen one? Throughout the entirety of the series, that's not the case. If you look at the entirety of the series, Deku in no way, shape, or form is is looked at as like this chosen one, unless you say Bakugo. Bakugo is the only person in the series that is like, oh, I'm gonna beat the chosen one, this and that and the third. But that came from a place of jealousy and enviness, right? We all know that it was just a freaking like, it just happened. Like, it was just fate, not his destiny. It's not his. He's not that he's the chosen one. There's nothing really special about him that makes him the chosen one. And My Hero Academia and Horikoshi has proven that time and time again that that's not the case. Of course, this could change. We have seen it time again from different series, like Naruto, for example. Naruto's like, oh, you form your own destiny, but then the whole time he's the freaking reincarnation of Ashura, right? Like, like, what do you mean you don't form your own destiny? You're literally destined to do this, right? So, but we don't get that with Deku at all so far. That could definitely change in the future, and that could definitely throw it back in my face if you want. But as of right now, that's not how it's depicted at all. And a lot of people at the time were very upset about it. It was very, I guess, for a little bit it was controversial, but it wasn't necessarily controversial on the state of the whole Maruta situation, or the whole Dr. Ujiko situation, I should say. It was its own rabbit hole, but this was like its own like little discourse within the fandom that happened. Now that's going to be my last conspiracy controversy that I'm going to discuss about in the stream, because I think I effectively ran through every big controversy that I could think of and that I've seen on lists, because those were honestly the most that caused the problems inside the fandom. And I think we're pretty much done with that. The next stream, I'm not ending the stream right now because I do want to talk about the live action My Hero Academia movie, and that'll be the last thing we talk about for the stream. But for the next stream, I want to talk about manga and comics, and how manga is obliterating comics right now. So we'll talk about that next stream. So I hope you guys are ready for that, because I know some of you might leave right now because we're done with controversies, but that's about it for controversies. I think I've covered a lot of the good ones. If there's any more that happens, or if there's another controversy that I forgot about, please let me know, because I would love to probably have it as its own segment for when we're doing a separate stream or a new stream, right? And we can have that as a little talking point during that stream. It's always cool to have these talking points. But yeah, let's get into the chat for a little bit, and then we'll get on to the live action My Hero Academia movie, and what's going on with it. So, see, Rachel, I space out as well, especially more recently, so no worries, man. LOL, you're not alone. Yeah, I just completely, like, everything in my brain just disappeared during that conversation, man. It was just I was brain dead. I had the ultimate brain fart. Something about Deku not being a chosen one makes me like his character more. Yeah, that's honestly what I love about Deku's character, is that he isn't the chosen one. He's just a kid. He represents us. He's not special. I know it sounds so freaking mean to say that, but it's true. He's not. There's nothing that sets him apart from anybody else. I guess that's what I should have said, right? There's nothing that sets him apart from anybody else besides having one for all. But that was just its own thing. He was given that. He was entrusted with that. That doesn't mean that he's the chosen one. What does that mean for every other user, right? Every other user was the chosen one then? If Deku was next in line, that doesn't mean he was the chosen one. He was just next in line. Rachel, I agree. It's sort of like an underdog story, sort of, that shows that anyone can be great and help others if you put your mind to it. You have to work really hard to achieve things, your goals, and so on. Yeah, that's honestly the way I see it too. That's how I believe it is, honestly. Thanks for saying that. TJ, this whole description of who Deku is literally the reason why he's my favorite character in the series, and probably my favorite MC of all time. Plus, I can see myself a lot in Deku. Yeah, I honestly, that's why I love Deku as a character. I can see myself in Deku, and honestly, the series and Deku and his motivations and why he you know, was so emotional, and his, the way he was just so inspired to actually continue on and become a hero and not let people down, because he was given this amazing opportunity, is has when My Hero Academia first came out, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot. I wouldn't say like I was massively depressed or anything like that. It's just like, you know, it motivated me personally to do a lot of things. It motivated me to start a YouTube channel, and now I have an amazing community that I talk to. It might not be the biggest, right? But I love interacting with you guys, and you know, obviously it gave me the courage to talk to people. It gave me my son, basically, right? You know, without My Hero Academia, probably a lot of what I'm doing right now wouldn't be happening. And you know, I love it. I love My Hero Academia. I love Deku as a character, and I'm grateful to Horikoshi for basically helping change my life a little bit. Not a little bit, but you know, it had a really big effect on my life. So that's why I love My Hero Academia, and probably will never stop. We'll never stop loving it. Uh, Same here. I enjoy Deku as the main character, and can say I can relate to him. He isn't the chosen one, but he chose himself to go down on that path. It takes a lot. Sorry, I got distracted because there's a wire covering the line. Uh, it takes a lot to sacrifice things you care for. Yeah, that is true. I'm glad like you think like that, and honestly, you know, you spitting facts. But yeah, and I love that necessarily. I love that because I guess this could be a little controversial in itself for me to say this, but I love how Deku, or me personally, I'm able to see myself in Deku without Deku necessarily representing me, right? Because I know it's a big thing nowadays that, oh, you know, I need a brown character. I'm brown, clearly, right? I need a brown character to be on the screen so I could feel represented, so that way I could see myself in them. But I don't need, me personally, I don't need that. I see myself in Deku. Deku is an Asian kid. He's a Japanese kid, right? But I see myself in him, and I feel like represented in a way because of that. Because, you know, he kind of reminds me of myself. So I love that about Deku, and I love that about the series. And honestly, I could see myself in a lot of these characters, to be honest. Like, even Bakugo. Bakugo technically is the 10th user in the movie. Deku gave him. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Deku. Bakugo is like a temporary user, but he's still technically the 10th user. And I'm pretty sure, like, officially, if my theory is correct and Shigaraki does end up getting One for All, he would be the 10th. He would be the official 10th user, but technically speaking, Bakugo was the 10th user of One for All, though it was temporary. But yeah, so we've gone through the chat. Now let's talk about the My Hero Academia live action movie. I know a lot of people kind of groan and don't like to hear the, you know, about the movie. They're like, oh my god, can this thing just die? Like, I don't want this to be a thing anymore. Like please stop. Just keep making anime. Just keep making the anime movies, but do not give me a live action movie. I know a lot of people feel that way. Me personally, I don't. I'm very interested in this movie, and I hope we actually get to see something soon. And the reason why I say we might actually get to see something soon, it's not no insider information or anything like that, but it's because of the Tokyo, Japan Comic Con that is going down, I believe, November 5th or November 25th, so, something around them, right? There's going to be a Tokyo, Japan Comic Con that's going down, and I'm pretty sure My Hero Academia is going to get a panel there. It's going to have a stage, and we're going to see some things announced for My Hero Academia, and obviously we're going to see a lot of talk about season 6 and stuff like that. But I 100% believe that we might get more information on either about this movie or about the next My Hero Academia movie, which would be the fourth movie of the series in the franchise. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because will we see this? Every time at a Comic-Con, we get information about movies, about what's coming next for the series. And also, I think we might also get an anime trailer too for the Vigilante spinoff. That we already know that there's a spinoff anime that's in the works. We just don't know what it's about, and I believe it's Vigilantes. But I'm hoping that in this Comic-Con we actually do get to get something extra from it. But yeah, like I was saying, if you look at the Comic-Con down here in the U.S., in New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con, one of the biggest Comic Cons in the world, we get movie announcements, we get movie trailers, we get TV show trailers, all of that junk, all of that. We get all of that. We get all big announcements, or really big announcements, during Comic Cons and expos. So I'm hoping that with this is a My Hero Academia channel. Of course, we're probably going to see more things being announced there. But for My Hero Academia specifically, I'm hoping that during this Comic-Con, we get some sort of announcement. Because we're kind of in this weird area in My Hero Academia right now, where it's just manga and anime. And that's not a bad thing. But I love extra My Hero Academia content, right? And I want to see more. That's how I am. I want to see more. I want to see extra things going on. We haven't had a My Hero Academia game in a while, and we're going to get one very soon. That being Ultra Rumble, that being the Battle Royale game that I talked about in the beginning of the stream, where I said, we're going to be getting codes soon. Not me specifically, but the codes are going to be sent out to people, and the download starts today, the preloading, and so that's going to be a thing, right? And that's pretty much what we got. But we got no real big announcements for anything My Hero Academia related that isn't for media. So we haven't gotten an announcement for the My Hero Academia spin-off anime that's in the works that we know about. Other than that time in August last year, we haven't heard anything. And since it's been a year already, and it's August again, we should be getting some news soon. Or at least we should be, right? On something. But I think it'll happen during November. We all know the season starts in October. So people will know about what's going on with My Hero Academia. People will know, hey, season 6 is going on. So then in November, when the actual Tokyo, Japan Comic-Con begins, during that Comic-Con, or during that time slot in those couple days, we should be getting another big thing announced, right? Because I'm sure they don't want to announce anything that'll possibly hinder the viewership of the season 6. But during the Comic-Con, when the season has already been underway, is already going out, people are already seeing it, we might get more announcements. So we could see a Vigilante spin-off anime trailer. We could see more information being given out about what's going on with the live action My Hero Academia movie. We could also see more game announcements. That's what I think is going on. Me personally, I need a lot more extra My Hero Academia content. Not even just to talk about it, but to consume. Like, I need that. I need to eat. And My Hero Academia is what I want. And that's just how I feel about it. I do think we're going to see something from it. I'm hoping it's not just going to be talk about season 6, because me personally, I'm just like, okay, like I've read the manga, I talk about the manga, I talk about the anime, I know what's going on in season 6, and to be frank, even though I'm excited, I don't want to just hear talk about season 6, right? When it's a convention, I understand there's going to be talk about it because for promotion's sake, but give me something new while you're at it, right? Give me something to look forward to. Like us manga fans, or us manga readers, we know season 6 is coming out. We know season 6 is going to cover the war arc. But, give us something to look forward to, something extra. And I believe we could potentially get more announcements for something big like the movie or the next My Hero Academia animated movie 4. So we could see something then. but that's just a theory right now. Nothing's really confirmed. I don't even think My Hero Academia is still confirmed to be getting a stage there, but the last time they were there, they had a stage. They had a like a booth, well, not a booth, but you know what I mean. They had a stage to talk about My Hero, and that happened a couple of years ago because the con got canceled for like 2 years in a row because of the pandemic and stuff like that. But this year they're coming back, so hopefully we get some big news. I'm excited. All right, this is exciting times. I can't wait. I would love to see more / extra MHA content, so I agree. Yeah, I hope so. I know a lot of people kind of get iffy about it, but I'm a glutton. I can't help it. I need it. But yeah, that is effectively all I'm pretty much going to talk about this stream. I don't know. Well, I know you guys know that I'm a gamer. Don't worry, I'm not going to plug anything in there. This is My Hero Academia related. But I realized something, because I play a lot of multiverses. This is My Hero Academia related. Don't worry about it. But Toho has a relationship with Warner Brothers and Legendary. And there were data mine leaks that Godzilla was going to come to the game. And it made me wonder, since Legendary Studios is working on the live action My Hero Academia movie, and that's effectively being handled by Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers, technically owns Legendary, and Legendary and Warner Brothers and HBO Max, they have good relationships with each other. Could we see Deku join multiverses? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a possibility. I like to be optimistic about things. I love video games. I love Deku. I love My Hero Academia. I like seeing them cross over. Hopefully, hell, can we get My Hero characters in Fortnite? Dragon Ball characters are going in there. Why not? At this point, hell, get some Tokyo Ghoul in there while you're at it, which they probably already have and I don't know about. But yeah, I love seeing crossovers like that. I hope maybe one day we get like our own little anime fighting game on the same level of like a multiverses, or even just like Dragon Ball Fighters. I hope we get like that, something like that for My Hero Academia, but who knows, we might not, but it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I just want more My Hero Academia content. I love it. Honestly, I think about everything when it comes to it. I'm like, yo, we should get this, we should get that, we should do this, we should do that. Why aren't we doing it? But that's just me. But yeah, that's effectively the end of the stream, guys. I'll see you guys in the next stream where we talk about how manga, and My Hero Academia specifically, and how manga is kind of really destroying comics over here in the West, or in the US. We're getting beat out here by manga, and I know that's like a touchy topic for a lot of people over here, but I really do want to talk about it because I do think it's very interesting to see how people react to things that are going on over here versus how people are looking for different outlets to get what they want. And so that's going to be its own thing. I'm going to look more into that. I don't want to get into it right now and say some crazy stuff, because I do feel like I kind of fumbled the bag earlier in the stream when we were talking about the whole Maruta thing. I feel like I probably should have done a little bit more research on that, and I was kind of like going back and forth everywhere. So I'm sorry about that. I know that I kind of messed up earlier, and I will try to not make that happen. Again, I'm really bad at talking without a script. If I had a script, it would have been fine. But since I don't, basically the beginning of the stream is what you get. So thank you guys for all stopping by. Being optimistic never hurts. LOL. I'm the same. I'm glad that there's more people like me. You are my people. Alrighty then, that was fun. Yeah, thank you guys for stopping by, and loved every second of it. I love having these conversations with you guys. Remember to subscribe and all that stuff. Donate if you want. That's an option, I guess. Not forcing anybody, but it helps. And even it doesn't matter, man. This is free content for you guys. It doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I love everybody. I love talking to you guys. That's honestly enough for me. And I'll see you guys in the next stream when we talk about manga versus comics. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.